Days later, someone called Trump's high school and demanded they find and bury Trump's transcript. So I would bet Trump's grades were so bad he couldn't even get into Trump University. But there's really only one way to find out. So joining us now is the superintendent of the New York Military Academy, where young Donald Trump went to school.
Jimmy Kimmel did not need leaked documents, medical reports, or hidden academic records to challenge Donald Trump's self-described genius image. All he needed was a clipboard, a straight face, and the very same cognitive screening Trump has repeatedly talked about as though it were a historic achievement. At first, the setup felt like a standard late-night joke. Kimmel told viewers he would take Trump's famous cognitive test live on television. The audience laughed before the segment even began, but what followed became surprisingly effective. Not because Kimmel struggled with the test, but because he revealed how routine it actually was. He carefully made an important distinction. Nobody should make fun of a cognitive screening, he explained, noting that doctors use such evaluations for legitimate medical purposes. The issue was never the test itself. The issue was treating a basic screening as evidence of extraordinary brilliance. Trump had often described passing these assessments as though he had accomplished something uniquely impressive, a feat beyond the reach of ordinary leaders.
I believe it or not, I watch my words very carefully. There are those that think I'm a very stable genius, okay? I watch my words very, very closely. And to have somebody get up and to totally fabricate a conversation that I had with another leader.
Kimmel's argument was much more pointed. If the mountain everyone keeps hearing about is really just a hallway, then celebrating the walk to the end creates a very different impression. This is where the audience fully understood the joke. Kimmel began demonstrating sample-style questions, commonly associated with cognitive screenings. Remember a handful of words. Identify familiar objects. Repeat a sentence. Follow a straightforward instruction. He completed each task casually, almost as if he were filling out routine paperwork. Then he looked directly into the camera with the kind of grin that signals the punchline has already arrived. The audience laughed because the contrast was impossible to miss. Trump had described the test like a challenge reserved for geniuses. Kimmel made it look like a standard medical form, with a television audience. That was the first major point. The second landed even harder. Passing a cognitive screening, Kimmel noted, is reassuring and valuable when medically appropriate. But it is not a trophy. It does not prove someone can manage international conflicts, strengthen an economy, reform healthcare, negotiate complex agreements, or unite a divided nation. It simply shows they completed a screening successfully. At that moment, the comedy shifted into something more meaningful. The joke became a lesson about perspective.
Late last night, the Angry Orange posted, "Why does ABC Fake News keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor television ratings, on the air? Why do the TV syndicates put up with it? Also, totally biased coverage. Get the bum off the air."
And Kimmel was only getting started. From there, Kimmel moved beyond the test itself and focused on Trump's reaction to it. He questioned why someone who repeatedly claims to be a genius seems to need public recognition for demonstrating basic cognitive functioning. A secure person, Kimmel suggested, would take the test, receive the results, thank the doctor, and move forward. A carefully constructed public image, however, turns that same result into a marketing tool. A leader who constantly reminds people how sharp he is may be concerned that his public behavior is creating a different impression. For many older Americans watching at home, that observation carried particular weight. They understand what cognitive screenings are designed to do. They have seen physicians use them with parents, spouses, friends, relatives, and sometimes even themselves. They know these evaluations can be important. They also know they were never intended to identify the smartest person in the country. Kimmel trusted viewers to understand that distinction. He never mocked the patients who take these tests. Instead, he focused on the exaggerations surrounding the achievement. That difference is what made the segment resonate.
To break ranks, which has forced Trump to now claim he's for the files being released. After almost a year of saying he didn't want to release after a year of stalling, hedging, browbeating members of his own party last night. All of a sudden, Trump reversed course completely.
Then Kimmel introduced what he called the test that mattered far more, the leadership test. Can Trump listen to experts without immediately dismissing them? Can he stay focused on a question without drifting into discussions about ratings, enemies, crowd sizes, windmills, or personal grievances? Can he accept correction without insisting the system is unfair? Can he hear criticism or a joke without treating it like a national crisis? According to Kimmel, those were the categories where the more revealing results could be found. The audience responded enthusiastically because they recognized the pattern. Trump often claims he doesn't care about criticism, yet frequently responds to it. He labels opponents as low IQ, then devotes significant attention to addressing them. He presents himself as above challenges, yet often reacts as though those challenges have struck a sensitive nerve. Kimmel didn't need to diagnose anything. He simply highlighted how the genius brand responds when placed under pressure. By the end of the segment, the live demonstration had accomplished something no direct insult could achieve. It separated medical reality from personal ego. It allowed viewers to respect the importance of cognitive screenings while recognizing the absurdity of treating one as a gold medal. Kimmel's performance ultimately showed that the real question was never whether Trump could complete the test. The real question was why completing it required public celebration. That is why the segment felt so effective. It didn't reveal a hidden medical issue. It exposed a public exaggeration. Trump had elevated a routine screening into evidence of unmatched intellect. Kimmel calmly walked through the same process and let the claim deflate on its own. Once that happened, the image of genius no longer seemed impressive. It seemed dependent on validation. The true score was never written on the clipboard. It was reflected in the response. Because genuine intelligence rarely asks for applause after every answer. It works quietly, serves a purpose, and withstands scrutiny when the spotlight arrives. That was the message Kimmel left lingering in the air as viewers realized the performance had judged itself.